Okay. Welcome to Yeshiva Daf Shir sponsor for Yeshua Sam Yaakov Nav Sitzchok. We're holding in Horayos Daf Yud Gimel. Plans to learn Yud Gimel and Yud Dalet. Yud Dalet is very, very short, so you'll learn it together. But we're actually starting Daf Yud Beis and Beis in the Mishnah, not the bottom Mishnah, the one before the bottom Mishnah. Kohen Gadol, Poirim Milamato, Vahetu Milamato. See that? The Mishnah towards there, not the last one, the one before the last one. So Mishnah says, Kohen Gadol, Poirim Milamato, Vahetu Milamato. Kohen Gadol, it does primo Milamato, which means at the bottom. We'll see in the Gemara what does it mean at the bottom. And the head it does on top. Kohen Gadol makriv oinin v'lo yoichet. Kohen Gadol will be a krovo, will be doing as an oinin, which means he can still do it avoid, he can still do it on his back, but he doesn't eat from the korban. But the head yoit can do a krovo, can do, he can eat. So now the more explains what does it mean lamat lamat. So it means when a person has a loyal lenu, someone in the family died, he needs to do a tear. What does he do the tear? Omar Rav lamato lamato mamish lemalo lemalo mamish. Says Rav, well, it depends. I mean, Kohen Gadol means he does in the bottom of the clothing, and Kohen Hedger he does in the top. We're in base the bottom, yeah. The Shmuel Amar lamato lamato v'kavesofo lemalo lemalo v'kavesofo, which means the safo is the ledge, is the hem of the shirt. So the Kohen Hedger tears that end. The Kohen Gadol does it a little below. It leaves the neck closed, and below the neck, that's where he tears it. The both in the area of the neck. It says all the mason in the world. So if you want to, he could tear it open, and if one not, and by the father and mother, he should do havdalah, even by he should tear the area of in front of the neck, right? So what do you say? Say is any other a father and mother, you have to be a little more of a feeling. Got a father and mother, so you have to do more of a parent kriya. But other may seem you're yaitz without it. What do you mean you're yaitz with that?
If it's the right side or the left side?
I don't know. Could be. That's a different discussion. But here we're talking about just do you open up the neck or not? So he says over here that you see that for a regular kriya, it works even if you didn't cut the hem of the neck. If generally this is good enough to be a kriya, so how can a Kohen Gadol do it? It says lo yifroim. Says the Gemara, Shmuel ki Avyuda Sfir Lei Doma called Kereshin Mav the Kavisofa Shaloi and Elokesh Shel Tifos. So he says he holds the Avyuda. Avyuda says that kriya is only when you cut the hem of the neck, and if not, it's not a kriya. So Yimele, in order for Kohen Gadol doesn't do that kriya, so Yimele it's yaitze. Umis the Avyuda kriya of Kohen Gadol. You hold that there's such a kriya at all. Say not to allow his hair to grow big and to tear the beged. I would say tearing the clothing of a saito that has to be done by the Kohen Gadol, not Kohen Hedger. The Kohen Hedger, not Kohen Gadol. Sorry. It says Roishoy Ub Gadol, which is his. This says he doesn't do any kriya at all. He doesn't do the regular kriya that everybody else does. He's the bottom, while the edge does the top. So you see that he holds b'chai don't do kriya at all. You're right. Rabbi himself doesn't do any kriya. Shmuel holds he does kriya, but only a kriya which is not a kriya, which is not a real kriya. Because if you have a real kriya, you can't do it anymore. So Yimei says the Gemara that the kriya that you do is the kriya that we just spoke about, which is the kriya of that he does a kriya. According to Shmuel, will be a kriya. Which kriya it is? Well, it depends on the sheet if you hold it, the top is a kriya or not. But say that was that Mishnah. Let's continue on the next Mishnah. There's a rule. always tadir koidim. Anything which is tadir comes first. Anything which is more kaddish comes first. Par Mashiach, upar eido oimdim. You have two parim in front of you. Par Mashiach koidim par eido b'chol ma'asov. So we have already here the rule. Kol tadir comes before. Kol mekudesh comes before. This, Be'ezer Hashem, we're going to get to soon. In Maseches Zvachim, we'll get into this. And then you get into a very interesting discussion. What is tadir and mekudesh regarding karbanis? We're not going to go into it today. We'll stay on the pshat. The Mishnah just gives us the rule. Tadir always goes first, and mekudesh always goes first.
These are tadir at all, these two, right? We're not talking about tadir here. Anyway, this case, he's bringing down the case.
Yeah.
It's not a tadir case, it's a case of mekudesh.
Mekudesh, yes, right. Now, which means the Mishnah speaks about. Par Mashiach par Eido Imdim, have a par of the Kohen and a par of the Eido. Par Mashiach Kohen and par Eido b'chol ma'asov. So par Mashiach comes first. Right? Kohen and par Eido b'chol ma'asov. Always par Mashiach will come before the par Eido. Now, meaning, I told you different kedimas. I said, Tadir, when the par Eido is base with base. The last Mishnah. You base with base. So we said, when you have a conflict, you have two things. We have to decide what's going to be first. So you say Tadir goes first, Mekudesh goes first, Parei the paradise, Parei go first. I'm just talking about Gdima. It's not the Chur connected. This is not even a Mekudesh. It just gives you three. Who says the Mekudesh?
The Kayin is more mekudesh than Mashiach. More mekudesh.
Then the Tzibur, the carbon of the Kohen. We'll see the Gemara. The Chur is not because of Mekudesh. Let's see. First of all, let's settle the rules.
He is not the Tadir and the Kodesh.
Right.
Nothing.
The Chur is about three Gdimas. One is Tadir, one is Mekudesh, third one is the Pah, is a special day. The Chur, nothing to do with that.
Okay.
Second, first of all, how do we know that Tadir comes first? So we say that always Korban Tomid goes first. I said the morning Korban, I know what morning Korban is. It's a Tomid. Why have to say Tomid? To tell you if it's Tadir, because always Tomid is first. Why always Tomid is first? It's Tadir. It comes every day. Good. Always the more Kaddish comes first. We know the Tani the Vei Rabbi Shmuel, the Kiddush Chodor Shevekdusho, Liftach Rishon, Ulevorach Rishon, Utamon Yofa Rishon. So we say it says in the Torah. The Torah says that the Kohen you have to be Mikdash, make it Kaddish. What does it mean? Make it Kaddish. You make it first. Who said Kedusha comes first? Right. The Gemara in Zvachim then takes this and says, okay, Tadir Mekudesh. What happens if I have
against each other?
Against each other. I have the Korban Atomid, Keneged, that's one of the examples, like more than this Doiche. Let's say Korban of Shabbos. Shabbos is more Mekudesh than a weekday. So what comes first? And then the Gemara goes on to this very, very, very interesting, famous Gemara over there in Zvachim. Now that Yud Gimel Udaf, on the top of Yud Gimel, say what Par Kohen Mashiach Par Eido, Mino Hanemilia. How do we know that the Par Kohen Mashiach comes first? So here that's because of Mekudesh. How do you know that? When you look at the Torah, speaking about the different Karbanis, so it says the Par Kohen Mashiach first, then it says Par Eido. And it says Par Eido, you will burn it the same way you did Kohen Mashiach. It says Kasher Sov the Par Rishon, Matabum Ha Rishon. Why you have to say Rishon? Like the previous part. Shei Rishon Kohen in the Par Eido b'chol ma'aseh is always first. The Par of the Kohen goes first. So the Torah about Par Kohen Mashiach Par Eido and Par Kohen Mashiach Kohen lefi Par Eido b'chol ma'aseh. Par Kohen Mashiach goes first. Will Mashiach mechaper ve'eido miskaperes. The Kohen is the one who's mechaper. He's the one who does the kapor. Yeah.
Sorry, this is talking about for the same chet. It's talking about two separate ones.
Two separate. The same chet. There'll be only one. As Mar said earlier. Talking about two. There was a psak of the Kohen Gadol. He did something wrong.
We had different cheetahs that said it could be that the Kohen brings his own. No, and that the Eidah brings his own. Didn't we say that?
No, not if they did the mamish the same chet and they were together. If I remember correctly. But whatever the case is talking about here. The case they each wanted to bring his own part.
Why can't this be a case where he was part of the Seymour and then he got appointed to the Kohen, he became appointed to the Kohen, and then they wanted to bring the Korban?
it doesn't have to be a par then, right? Kula, right? Only if you have, so in the case he has to be a par and the tzibur has to be a par, which one should you bring first? That's the case. Wherever you get to that scenario. So the Gemara says, Par Kohen Mashiach comes first. Why b'chol ma'asov oyil Mashiach mechaper ve'inim miskaperes. The Mashiach, I mean the Kohen, is the one who is the mechaper. He's the one doing the avodah. And Am Yisrael is miskaper. Always, the one who's doing it should come before the one who gets the result. Right? You want to take the example from the plane. They tell if you're first you do yourself, then the child. First you take care of yourself, right? Similar thing. You see it by Yom Kippur. First of all, he does himself, and then he gets the tzibur. So that's what we see in the pasuk. Why the tzibur comes before the avodah zarah? Par of the tzibur comes before the par of the tzibur for avodah zarah. Because the par of a regular tzibur, for regular chait, is a chatos. The par for the avodah zarah is a oilam. The Tanya Bikur is the shir lechatos rishayno. Matum uloyma. The pasuk teaches me. Im lanavich de chatos rishayno. Just tell me chatos comes first. Harikvar ne'emar. It's a sheni yaseh oilam k'mishpat. It says chatos and oilam. Ela zebonov shiu kol chatois koidmois leoilois haboim imoyim. Always chatos comes first. The kaimelon that filu chatos oiv kedimus loilos veima. We have a kaimelon. Whenever you have chatos, this is really a nice agdama to cut you. So you have some rules. Chatos comes before oil. One nice explanation is the chatos takes away the chait, and oil is a doiron. Before you give a doiron, you should take care of your sins. So it's a rule.
Oil is also mechaber for
right, mikufyu. Like one was going to say mikufyu. Yeah, but it's not a direct kapar. Yeah, it's an essay, but it's not a direct kapar. It's an indirect kapar. It's like one was going to say in Zvachim. It's called mikufyu mechaber. Oil is a doiron, mimel is kapar. But it's not coming for kapar.
So this is the case of Mekudesh, right?
No, not necessarily.
It's more severe.
But that's who said?
Because it takes care of Chatas can take care of cars.
Yeah, but here we're talking about the same. We're talking about here. In both cases, cars. In both cases, we're talking about you have a veil of cars. The first we're talking about a regular carbon, and then we're talking about a carbon of a desire. The power of the regular carbon is going to be is a chatos, and the power of the zara, which is mechaper on this, is oil. So we say you have a cloud. The chatos goes first.
Are we talking about individuals or
no, the tzibur. Now, once you bring in avodah zarah, you bring two carbonos. Power of a seir. Power is kachovim kodim l'seir v'tus kachovim. The power goes before the seir. Why? The seir is not the power is oil. The seir is the chatos. We just said chatos always goes first. Imai chatos ve'ayoilo, and the chatos should be first. Doesn't say chatos with aleph. It says chatos without aleph. Lechatos ksiv. To tell you that what? That it's not a real chatos. And therefore there it doesn't go first. Which means it has to be done exactly as written in the Torah, where the oil goes before chatos. My time or why the seer of the Zohar comes to the seer. Now, once we speak about the order. So if Am Yisrael brings a korban for the Zohar, they bring a chatos and they bring the seir. They bring both. Now you say, now the king, let's say, has to bring his own korban. Who goes first? Am Yisrael goes first. Why? Nesi my time. Hay tzibur v'hayochid. That's a tzibur. Tzibur goes before the yochid. See, so that's why he goes first.
That didn't work in the Mishnah.
What?
Didn't work in the Mishnah.
What do you mean?
We said that either comes after. Right?
Because we have a special example of kosu. The Kohen Gadol is different.
Because the Kohen Gadol is going to be mechaber for you.
Right. But we have also example of kosu. So the svar for that, but that was the example of kosu. Very good. Seir nasi kodim v'seir as yochid. The seir of the key goes before seir as nochid. My time I melech ve'ai edyut. That's a king. The king goes before individual. That's a svar. Seir as yochid. Kodemas the kif says yochid. The seir of an individual comes before when you have an individual who brings the seir. You have an individual who brings the kifso. No, just regular seir kifso. Then you say the Sira goes first. So we find the opposite. Because we do find Sira by Avodah Zarah. Avodah Zarah, you can't bring a shur. It's not shur. It's kifsa Sira. It can be only Sira. So you see, they've regular chatos. You could choose. You can either bring a sheep, a female sheep, or a female goat. But with the Zara, you can't choose. You have to bring a female goat. So you see, Seira has more importance because you can bring it by the Zara. So that's like Gemara says. That's why he holds that Seira goes before Kifsa. The Kifsa has a tail, and the tail goes on as part of the carpet. By a goat, you don't have a tail. So there's an additional part of the carpet. They have a Kifsa and have a Seira. The Gemara goes on just to end the din of Gedima. When you bring korban oimer, the comes on Tzai Nisan, you bring with it a kevis. The oimer comes first. Also in Shavuos, you bring bread together with kvasim. The bread comes first. Why? So here goes the rule. The main korban is oimer. That's the oimer. Korban oimer. Once you bring the oimer, you bring with the animal. The main korban on Shavuos is what? The main korban in Shavuos is shtei alechem. That's what it is. The shtei alechem. The main korban in Shavuos is shtei alechem. Because you bring shtei alechem, you bring korbanos as well. So therefore, first you think you bring what's coming for the day, and then you can bring the korban that comes with it. So this was just a very generic klal gedima, and part of it we'll see when we get to Zvachim. The Gemara is going to speak about it more in length. We're continuing to talk about.
Is that also Mekudesh then?
No, this is not Mekudesh. The Chord is not Mekudesh. The Pash is not Mekudesh.
The Yom brings Kedushin. The Yom brings.
Right, but that's what this Zvachim we can speak about. The Gemara Zvachim is going to speak about Shabbos connected the weekday, Yom Tov connected the weekday. Here we're talking about just they're both coming in the day. So right now they're both Kaddish. Once you bring in for the same thing, they're both Kaddish. But what's the main thing that came? So the Mishnah. When you have a man and a woman, who you have to give, save for life, or to do a Shavas Aveda, the man comes before the woman. Why? Oh, because he has no mitzvahs. He has no mitzvahs. Regarding giving clothing, the woman comes first, because for her, the tznius by her is more important. Again, in of tznius, she may be violated. If a man and a woman both have the danger that they're going to be violated, so then you have to save the man before the woman, because it's more of a problem when the man does than the woman, as we see in the Gemara Begittin when they jump from the boat. So the man, the woman is a darko. It's a normal way, even though she's being forced to do it. But a man is lo darko, at least that's used to be. So that's why you have to say it in that way. So different levels. Says the Gemara, they're all captured. A father, a Rebbe, and himself are in the Shevi. Who koidim rabbi? First of all, he gets saved first. The rabbi koidim laviv. His Rebbe comes before his father. That we know in more kedushin, always the Rebbe has to come first, because the Rebbe brings you l'chaya l'mabo. Imoy kodemus l'kulam. Why? Because the Shevi. Once I have to get the Shevi, so I want the mother to come first, because she has to. Because I want to save her from being violated. And chacham koidim lemelech. Then the chacham comes before the king. Why? Why is the chacham coming before the king? So the Gemara explains right away. Davar nifla moed. Yisrael chacham shemei. The melech Yisrael. Sorry. Chacham shemeis ein lanu kayetziboy. Chacham shemeis. How are you going to replace a chacham? Maybe another chacham. Everyone has a different level of learning of intelligence. But melech Yisrael shemet kol Yisrael li'urim l'malchus. Yet to replace a king, and kol Yisrael bnei melachim. They all belong to melech. So the Yisrael, I have much more of a way to. I can replace the king. Good child. Melech koydem lekoyin gadol kikos lekoyin gadol shenema koyema melech lehem chuy mochem avdei adinech. So it says that when David Melech told to go make Shloim a king, he told the kohen, take the slaves Take from the slaves of your Adon. Who's your Adon? David HaMelech refers to the Kohen, tells the Kohen, I'm your Adon. So I mean the Kohen is underneath the king. Kohen Gadol Kohen Lenovi Shinema Moshe Chosoy Shom Tzaddik Kohen V'Nosam Anovi Higdim Tzaddik L'Nosam. When David HaMelech gives the instructions, he again gives Tzaddik for Nosam. V'Yim Shmana Yeshua Kohen Gadol Atov V'Reacho. Another limud. It says over there that the pasuk says, the full pasuk is Hashem never catch moifis hema. So he tells the Kohen that you're the Kohen, Achim moifis. Yechol het yoitos, ayu, tomolo catch moifis hema. Vein moifis al navi. It was navi. Shem anatan lechois moifis. So it says over there that he's referring to the Kohen before the navi. So again, you see the Kohen comes before the navi. Now the Teisar Rashi points out, what is the reason that we have to bring another pasuk? We have to bring two pasukim. So he says the reason you bring the second pasuk is because you could have said that in the first pasuk, maybe talk about the Kohen Gadol who's using Urim V'Tumim. Using Urim V'Tumim, he's almost like a Navi. That's why he's very greater than a Navi. But a Kohen Gadol doesn't use Urim V'Tumim, maybe he's not greater than a Navi. That's why you bring the second pasuk. Ashur B'Shem HaMishcha, the one who has oil on him, the Kohen has oil on him, Koydem L'Meruv B'Godim. He's before the one who has clothes. The one who has clothes, he has 8 clothes, which means doesn't have Shemin HaMishcha. He's koydem to Mashiach Shava, the one who was removed from being a kohen. Shavamach was carried, meaning he was moved temporarily until he carries out. Mashiach Shavamach was carried, kohen Lovamach was mumoy. Now it's all svara. The one who has a carry, he's out temporarily. The one who has a mum, he's out indefinitely. He can't come back. Why? Because Mashuach Milchama is less of a Kohen Gadol, as we saw in the previous daf. Mashuach Milchama Koidim Lizgan. Mashuach Milchama comes before the Zgan. Zgan is the second in command who's waiting to be Kohen Gadol if he's needed. Zgan Koidim Amar Kol. What's Amar Kol? My Amar Kol Mavchizdo Amar Kulo. Amar Kulo. Amar Kulo. He's the one who's in charge. He's like he's the one who takes care of everything in Beis Hamikdash. He's not the Zgan, but he's like the one who's running the show over there. Amar Kol Koidim LeGizba. Gizba is the one who's holding the money. Gizba Koidim LeRosh Mishra. Rosh Mishra. The Mishra is the Kohanim that came every week. That's called the Mishra. So he was the head of the entire week. Rosh Mishra Koidim LeRosh Beis Av. Beis Av is the one who was that specific day. So he's the head of the day. Rosh Beis Av Koidim LeKohen Hedjut. Right? So that's all the Gedimus. Now the one interesting question, we're not going to go into it too much right now, but just to point it out, Rosh brings it over here. We said that the one who has the oil, the Kohen God has the oil, is Kohen into the one who is Meruv God and doesn't have the oil. So there's a question of Taisis already. Taisis asked this question of Sanhedrin, and Taisis Rosh brings it over here. How can it be that both will be in the same time? Meshuach B'Shemin HaMishcha was before the Shemin was Nignas. The Meruv Godim is after the Shemin was Nignas. How can you have both of them at the same time? Shiloh. Simple answer is to talk about it at the same moment. I mean, the same, right? During the time of Yeshayahu, when Yeshayahu was still alive, that's when it happened. Okay. Says when you buy Luhu, the Inyan. What? There'll be Meruv Godim? There'll be Shemin Mishcha. Then you give the Shemin Mishcha. Meruv Godim is the one who was kicked out from Shemin Mishcha. Right? Says when you buy Luhu. Le'inyan tumo, zgan mushol milchama ezim mehem koydim. Now, as Tosh points out, the reason it says over here le'inyan tumo is because what's the idea of le'inyan tumo? Is because the referred to specifically when the Gemara in Nazir, it's a quote from the Gemara in Nazir, and the Gemara in Nazir speaks about when they have they go and they get there's a mace on the way. What do you do with the mace on the way? So you say like this: Shaila is one of them. You have this Gan, who's the secondary in command, and you have Meshur Milchama, and the Shaila is, who do I save from becoming Tommy? So you have Zgan Meshur Milchama, the coming, and Pogam Meis Mitzvah. You find the question is who's going to bury the Meis Mitzvah will become Tommy. Mutu Shita Meshur Milchama v'Haitam Zgan. So better from Meshur Milchama the Kotame, not this Gan. Shema Yerab Psul the Kohen Gadol. Maybe the Kohen Gadol will become Pasul, And I need this gun to be ready.
Why can't you be afraid that Gandhi also can get?
I know, but that's already. I'm the sorry. So, but I need to be. I don't want this gun to be Tommy because he needs to be always there on alert. He may be called in.
Meshuvah cannot do the job.
Meshuvah can't do the job because Meshuvah is not a kohen gadol that is b'shamish. Says more about time. Meshuvah kodim l'sgan. But we said Meshuvah goes before this gun. We have a brayso. It's like this. I need to make sure the Meshuvah is the one who sends Am Yisrael to the war. So to go to war, you need to have him alive. To be Tameh, I need this guy to not to be Tameh. So it depends what you're talking about. In terms of war is what saves Am Yisrael's life. I need the Meshuvah alive. I need to be Machia. In terms of Tumah, I want this guy not to be Tameh. So it depends what you're talking about, who goes before. Continues the Mishnah. Koyen, Koidim, the Levi.
If the Kohen Mashiach, this tummy can't go up to that.
He could. That's a good shayla. The shayla is disturbing the battle. The portion of shad is, the simple understanding, the more is, if he's Tom, it doesn't disturb him to go to battle. Why did it disturb him to go to battle? Shayla is, does he have to wear the begodim when he goes to battle? He has to wear the begodim, he can't wear it when he's Tom. So, maybe it's not me'akiv. That's what when you go into the sugya, maybe it's not me'akiv. That goes back to the Gemara there in Nazar. Okay, very good question. So the Mishnah, Koyin Levi. The Koyin goes before a Levi. We know that. Levi Yisrael. Levi goes before Yisrael. There's a big machlekes in the poskim. If a Levi goes before Yisrael, if there's no Koyin. Do I need to be magdim the Levi if there's no Koyin? Now if Kamina, you're in a suda, should I have to give them some for the Levi? Shy. Yisrael.
You have to give the coin if there's no coin to a lady or just to Israel.
If there's no coin, does the lady come before Yisrael or not?
Are you even allowed to do that?
Right. Yisrael l'mamzer. Yisrael comes before mamzer. Mamzer l'nosim. Nosim is the the joint Am Yisrael. Nosim l'ger. Ger is a convict. The ger levin l'shuchar. Ger comes before a released slave. And Mosai is man shekulam shovim. That's when they all are in the same level of Torah. Mamzer goes first. Now here it's a very interesting shiloh. The meaning of the poskim discuss it is that there is a Yerushalmi that says that a mamzer cannot go into Yerushalayim, and a Kohen Gadol can never leave Yerushalayim. So how can it be that a mamzer will be together with Kohen Gadol in the same place? Shiloh that the poskim discuss. Interesting scenario. But it says when you have both of them, you give the mamzer Kohen Gadol, you let him. The Tevachachal goes first. Always the Tevachachal goes first. It says about Kohen. Now the Gemara is going to explain all the occurs. Kohen Kohen Levi Shnei Bnei Amram Aaron U'Moshe V'Yavdil Aaron Lagdisha Kodesh Kodesh. It says Aaron became Kishbuk was Mavdil to be more Kodesh. Levi Kohen Yisrael Shnei Be'Sei Yivdil Shevet Levi. He's Mavdil Shevet Levi. So Levi is more than Yisrael. Yisrael Kohen Lamamzer Shezem Meyuchus Zeinu Meyuchus. Very clear. Yisrael has a Yichus. Mamzer not. Mamzer Kohen Lenosim Ziba Miti B'Ksher Ziba Miti B'Psulo. The mamzer is born. His father, his parents, or kaddish. But by a nasin, he's not kaddish. Nasin koidim leger. Zeh godel imon b'kedusha, v'zeh lo godel imon b'kedusha. The Ma'aser and Nasin is the nation that joined Am Yisrael, and they were always here. They were always helping Am Yisrael. They're always serving Am Yisrael. Mashiach the Ger, he came. He's a newbie. He just came in here. Ger koidim le'ev meshuchar. The Ger goes before Ev meshuchar. Zaya b'chlal or v'zeloya b'chlal or. An Eved is called an Or. That's a Chan called his a Noach called the son Eved Avodim Yelech. They called him Or. So he has a name of Or, and that's why the Ger is greater than the Eved. Yeah, here we hold he's a Jew. Yeah, and it seems that we call him considered to be a Yid, even though he's not considered not a full Yid.
Not a Yid, then the Ger should be.
Yeah, for sure. The Gemara goes on and says in Mitzvah's magical Meshavim, Minan Emili, how do we know the Chol goes first? Omar Chama, Bechani, Domako, Yikari, Miprini, Mikoyin Godel, Shenicha, Sifai, Miprini, Torah is greater than the Koyin Godel that goes inside. Tani Mishum Mechai, Oimer, Bedinu, She'egdim, Eved, Meshuchor, Leger. Really, it should have been that the Eved should come before the Ger. Why? Shazeh Godel, Imon, Bekdusho, Shazeh Godel, Imon, Bekdusho, the same story we said before. The Eved, he was always there. He always in our houses. The Ger is a newbie. But that's why also Avraham Avinu told Eliezer, Taikemen in or dagabor. Shal Talmidim Zablozo Absolik Ma Koil Rotzim Lisa Gioyves Veina Koil Rotzim Lisa Meshucheres. He says, why people want to marry more of a convert than a released slave? Same answer. Only Zayta Bechalor, Vizil Laita Bechalor. Dover Acher Zay Bechezkel Shomu, Zulay Bechezkel Shomu. An Evet is, they don't have any shmir. A guy may have a respectful guy who has who's careful. Now they asked him all the questions. Once we brought this question, we got the question. Immediately we segue into things that are mamish not Horayos to us. Why the dog knows his koinu chatuna? So maybe first you explain the dog knows Hashem because it says in the pasuk that he brought Hashem. The cat doesn't. So how do we know that? That's a psukim. But someone is saying the pshat is the dog recognizes his master. He knows who his owner is. The cat doesn't. So he says, we'll see in a moment when a person eats from a food that a mouse ate from, and it causes him to forget his learning. So someone who eats the mouse itself, of course he forgets his learning. A cat eats the mouse, so he forgets. He doesn't know who the master is. So more says. Why everybody hates the mice is the most hated thing. Why are they so hated? So it says he pays shisuram ra. He has a bad habits. What's the bad habit of the mouse? They eat up even clothing. Like they bite it. They're not enjoying it. Why are they eating it? Because they want to eat everything. Now if you give them a base, even the handle of the axe they eat. So meaning they're not enjoying it. It's a simmer. People gave him that teva. Trouble is that you look at them as people that do things for no reason. Chazal, another place call them achbari rishi. They call them rishoyim. They're Russian. My son told me that in Yeshiva sometimes they have mouse. That's all. So he says you see that the mouse is a Russian. Why? Because you always, when you have food, they take a little bite from this food, a little bite from this food. They eat from every food. They ruin everything. They're not going to take only one food and eat it up. They'll take from everything. The mouse says that bad habits.
What yeshiva is this? And exterminated the class.
There's 5 things that cause a person to forget his learning. Whatever a mouse eats from, someone eats from there. Whatever a cat eats from. Someone who eats the heart of an animal. Eating too much, here's a meduik, it's rogel b'zeisim. You can eat a little bit of olives, but not too much. If you eat too much, it's shechicha. He eats water that's left over from the bath. Puts his 2 feet one on top of each other, and he washes them, there it causes the shechicha. He put his clothing under his head. All these things is called dinei shmiras hanefesh, zinyanim which are beyond our comprehension. But that's this concept of these things that cause shirah. 5 things bring back the learning. Pas pechomim, a bread which is done with coal. The kol sheket pechomim atzon, the actual coal. Ve'oichel beitza megulgeles beloy melach, someone who eats eggs without salt. Ve'arogil b'shemen zayis, someone who eats olive oil. Olives cause shirah. But olive oil brings back the learning. Someone who's used to wine and psalm. So someone who drinks water from the leftover from the dough. Someone who puts his finger into salt and he eats it. The olives cause someone to forget his learning that he learned for 70 years. So the oil brings back the learning of 70 years. Big in yonim over here, but let's stick with the pshat. You see that wine and psamim make you very smart. Someone puts his finger into salt, one finger. One finger and not 2. What is simon of kmitza? As Rashi says and Tosha says over here, The kmitzo, this is the finger called the kmitzo. So when you put it down, what do you have left up? 2 and 1. So you want to remember, one says 1 and not 2. One says 2 and not 3. So remember, these are the shittas 1 and 2. That's the simple to remember that was a number. So there's 10 things that are not good for learning. He goes under the saddle of the camel, and Rashi says koshken under the camel. The koshken, the Gemara says koshken tachas gamel atzu. However, ben shnei gemol, someone who passed between 2 camels. However, ben shnei noshim, someone who passed between 2 women. Va'isha iveres ben shnei anoshim. So here the question is, when she passes between 2 men, she causes the 2 men to forget their learning. However, it goes under bad smell of a dead animal. Under bridge, there was no water going through it 40 days. He's eating a bread which is not fully cooked. Is a kli that you take out the dirt from the pot. Someone who eats meat from that spoon, that causes shirah. If you have water going through a cemetery, someone drinks it, it's called a shirch. Someone who looks at the face of a mace. If you read the writing on a caver, and this is very nugel. Most people go to Biskars, they want to read it, they want to say there's a difference if the writing is engraved or is on top. If it's engraved, there's less of a problem. Only on Gabeya kever. Only if it's not engraved, then it causes the shirch.
They used to uncover the face of the dead, and they changed that name.
Yeah.
So here it says,
if you look at the face, maybe they didn't look straight in the face.
What do you mean when check the face? Usually,
someone who looks is a mistake. Someone who stares at the face of a mace is a problem for shit. It's not good for his learning. The nasi is number 1 in Am Yisrael. When he comes in, everybody gets up, and nobody sits down until he comes, and everybody sit down. Not king, means the nasi be Yisrael. Today, that's equivalent of more something before. When the Beis Din comes in, not everybody gets up. Only the row where he passes by, they get up, the row on each side. So one gets up, one sits down. Now, remember this rules, because we're going to see this right. So when was this established? We'll see in a moment. It's a big story the Gemara is going to get to. Now we're just ending. They had all these rules, so they continue the rules. Bnei Chachamim, Talmidei Chachamim, this children of Chachamim, Talmidei Chachamim. If the people need them, Mafsim Roshei Ha'om. What does Roshei Ha'om? It means those days people would sit on the floor. When you walk, it looks like you're walking on their heads. It's inappropriate. So a person should go. We don't allow people to go and walk when everybody's sitting down, except the people need them, like the body of the Chachamim. If a person goes out, he needs to go to the bathroom, so he can come back. The children of Chacham, the father is in charge. He's a parnus of the tzibur, means he has responsibility on the tzibur. If they know what the father is saying, they sit in front of the father, and the back is towards the rest of the people. If they don't understand, they stand in front of the father and look klapiyom. And the person sits in the mizrach and he's facing the so it means he doesn't understand what the Rebbe says, and that you should think it that way. So the chiddush here is that in order to appease the chacham, you allow his children to be near, because that makes it feel better. It's a big okay. So what blows up? So we have a beis hamishte, oisim snifim, also beis hamishte to allow the children to come in. Homamar yotzel letzorich nichnas v'yoshev mikoyim. He went to the bathroom. He goes back to his place. It's only if he goes to Knani. Urinate. Gedolim, we don't let him to come back. He should check himself before. It says, the Gemara says, those days they didn't have bathrooms everywhere. So he says, make sure the bathroom was outside. So go in the morning, go in the evening. Why? Because maybe he's going to be in a place where he doesn't have access to a bathroom. So that's why a person should make sure he needs to make himself used to the fact he doesn't go to the bathroom a lot. So today the world became weaker. Feel like daily now a person can go out and come back in. You see what was Stephen Omarov, Beis Hamishna is only when the father is alive and in front of the father. Now this is the more interesting story. It's a fascinating story. We're obviously going to learn this al derech pshat, but it's very hard to understand exactly. It looks like the Chachamim were very running after COVID. So we keep that as a shiloh before we start the story. This whole Mishnah that they said that the Nasi, everybody gets up, a Beis only one row, Chacham one by one, that was in the time of what? Time of Shimon Gamliel. What happened? Shimon Gamliel was a Nasi, Rameir was the Chacham, and I'm not son of Beis Din. When Shimon Gamliel comes in, everybody gets up. When Rameir of Nasi came in, everybody got up. So Shimon Gamliel, it's inappropriate. It should be some difference between the Nasi and the Chacham and Beis Din. So he made this cloud only for the Nasi, everybody gets up. Then Rameir of Nasi were not there when they made that takana. The next day they come in, poops, nobody's getting up. What's going on over here? I'm in my eye. What's going on? So that's what Shimon Gamliel made. So again, a peep shot, it sounds like Rameir of Nasi, we're not so happy with this new rule. Right? We are a chashuv. Natkin milsa ki ledidan. Let's do something like us. So Rashi brings you two explanations. One explanation is that the same way he basically sabotaged us, we'll do to him as well. Again, very hard to understand. How do you understand the push on the Gemara? But that's what they said. My Navi, what should we do? What should we do? Says, let's tell him to teach us uksim. The Leisling. He doesn't know uksim. The Kevan, so once he's going to say, I don't know how to learn it, they're going to say, the pasuk says, who's the one who's going to say the Torah? Only someone who can say all the Torah is able to teach. You want to teach Torah, you don't know uktim. Uktim is the last Masechta in Shas. Now we'll remove him. We'll move him. That's what they plan. Again, seems like a coup. Okay. Shamina of Yaakov Barkashi. So Yaakov Barkashi heard that plot. This is going to embarrass Shimon Gamliel in public. Also, Yosef Shimon Gamliel. He sat behind the Aliyah, second floor of Shimon Gamliel. Pashat, he was saying the Mishnah. Gores Setana, repeating himself uksim several times. So Reb Shimon Gamliel hears this Talmud screaming out uksim. What's going on over here? Something's going on in his Perdish. So that night, he sat down to do Masechtas Uktzin. Very difficult Masechta. So the next day they said, Rabbi, that's not Uktzin. No problem. So you see the Ma'al Shimon Gamliel doing the whole entire Masechtas Uktzin that night, and the next day he gave a shir on the whole Masechta. After they learned the whole Masechta, I said, if I went to learn it, you were making me embarrass me. You came to embarrass me. They kicked him out of his Spanish, of Nasser and Rameir. Have a classic kushiyos pitko. So the Nasser and Rameir are sitting outside his Spanish. They're writing questions and sitting inside, sending in with like little notes. The show do also have a mifik. And if they had answers in Spanish, they would answer. Till they have a mifik kasi piruki v'shodu. If there was no answers, they send the questions back out. The mayor of Nasser would pick them as a they answer the questions. Please understand. They're outside and we're inside. You know, the big Tibachon outside. I'm Shimon Gamliel Na'alinu. So, in other words, he said, Rashi says, he told him, either we go out or they come in. It doesn't make sense like this. They're outside sending us answers. So, Shimon Gamliel, no problem. Let's bring him back in. But Miuni Kresil, give him a kras. We're not going to mention their name. A secular Rameir, Achirim. Rameir is not Achirim, not Rameir. There are no son Yeshuim. Whenever it says Yeshua and Nasa, we don't say their names. So they showed him in a dream, go and appease Rav Shimon Gamliel. Nasa went and he asked forgiveness. It says it's dreams. You know, I'm not counting on dreams. So came Rav Shimon and Nasa to ask forgiveness. So tell Rav Shimon Gamliel, the belt of your father, let me have you basic. Like, oh, you wanted to be a Nasi suddenly? Where are you coming from? Okay.
He came from Bovel, and his father was a Knakram.
Yeah.
This is Rav Shimon Gamliel's father, Rav Gamliel, had they run it later in Yeshua?
I think so.
Sent out because it's the same Kufa, no?
Chur.
Because then we see the Rav Shimon Gamliel that became Nasi again.
Yeah, son.
Not from Rav Gamliel.
Right, no, because Gamliel came back, right?
But they alternated.
Yeah, the alternative.
But after that, it stopped.
After that, right? Yeah, right. Says the Mateo Rebbe Reb Shimon Rei. Rebbe taught his son of Shimon, Acherim Eim Oimrim Ilayu Tumura when Daf Yudal Daf Layakor. He's quoting him a Mishnah, and he quoted Rameir by saying Acherim. You're mentioning something named Acherim. Who is it? Said, you know, this guy, he wanted to take away the covenant of Shimon Gamliel, which is the father of Rebbe. So that was the old machlokes. It's already over. It's like they say today when you speak about Hasidus and Miznagdim. That was 200 years ago. Today, it's over the machlokes. So he brought another pasuk. It means it stays lanetzach, the fight. That's only if they were effective. They were not effective because at the end of the day, Rav Shimon Gamliel stayed on Nasi. So he said, you know what? You're right. I'm not saying Acherim. I say they said in the name of Rameir. Even Rebbe was a big Anov and he was willing to be Meichel. He didn't say Rameir. It says they said in the name of Rameir. They didn't say Rameir fully. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan, Pliko Bar Shimon Gamliel Rabbanon. The machlokes. What's the machlokes? Chadom Asinai Odif, Chadom Oikar Harim Odif. L'chora, this connection to the previous story was that Shimon Gamliel was a Oikar, and that's why he was the Nas. He was able to answer questions, but he wasn't a Sinai. Sinai means someone who knows the Torah. He did not know Uktim, so he wasn't a full Sinai. So Shiloh, what is greater, Sinai or Oikar? Says now where did the story come? Yeshiva was a Sinai. He knew everything. Rabbi Oikar Harim. Who's greater? Because why? The one who has wheat, they need him to ask him questions. Yeshiva did not agree to be Rosh Yeshiva. Malach Rabbi is true Tishnim. Rabbi became the king for 22 years. Then Rabbi Yeshiva became the Rosh Yeshiva. All the years the Rabbi was the Nasi, Rabbi Yosef did not have an Umen come to him. What does it mean did not have Umen? So here there's many Perushim. One of them is that he didn't do any straw for himself. Usually the Nasi, he used to call the doctor to come to his house. He didn't go to the doctor's house. He used to go to the doctor's house. Or he never needed a doctor. Because he was Mivater, he never needed the doctor during these 22 years. All four of them were sitting down. But with Tzricha had to make it to appoint one of them to be the Rosh Yeshiva. Whoever says something and there's no question on him, that's a sim mishamayim, he'll be the Rosh. So everybody said something, everybody had a question on him, he saw that his head became higher. So he says, you be the Rosh Yeshiva. The first we discussed over here, and Rashi also brings it, is it pshat that he saw that he had some shiny face from above, or the pshat was that he saw that he had a little gaibus, so he had to put him down a little bit. Says the Gemara, who's greater? He was able to ask all kinds of questions, and with that to get to the conclusion. He went slowly. He wasn't such a chorif, but he was able to get to a Schweizer Liebe the Yechezkel. So the question would be the one who's slow but he gets halacha l'maaseh, or the one who's able to mifalfel. Shaila, is this similar to Sinei V'Rei? It's not similar. That's a lot to talk about over here. But the Gemara stays with the question. We'll leave the last word for the siyum. But with this we covered these two blat. Be'ez Hashem, everybody's invited to the siyum on Tuesday night. So tomorrow night we do